Good morning. Today is Wednesday, November 20th, and this is Devotions from St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I'm going to take a passage today from Mark's Gospel, and this is immediately after the part that we had last Sunday where Jesus told about the destruction of the temple. And here, Jesus is telling the disciples they need to go out and preach the word, and they will have difficulty doing this. So this is from the 13th chapter of Mark's Gospel. As for yourselves, beware, for they will hand you over to councils, and you will be beaten in the synagogues, and you will come before governors and kings because of me, as a testimony to them. And the good news must be proclaimed to all nations. When they bring you to trial and hand you over, do not worry beforehand about what you are to say, but say whatever is given to you at that time. For it is not you that speak, but the Holy Spirit. Brother will betray brother to death, and father his child, and children will rise up against parents and have them put to death. And you will be hated, all because of my name. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. This is something of a hard reading, but there's a couple of things I want to point out. First, Jesus told this to his disciples, and by and large, it was accurate for their time. Many of them were brought before councils and before the synagogue, and many of them were actually put to death because of their faith and preaching. Early in Acts, Peter made an amazingly strong declaration of faith for Jesus Christ in front of the chief priests and the elders. And it's an example to us of what we're supposed to do and be strong and talk about the good news of Jesus Christ. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't been beaten for doing any of the things that I do concerning my faith. But there have been some challenges, things that didn't seem right to me that I tried to speak up about, and things that didn't seem right to me that I didn't speak up about. And those are the challenges of today, because it's far less violent than it was in the day of Jesus. But there's one line in here that I hold dear that I would offer to all of you, and that is the line, don't worry about what you are to say, for the words will be given to you at that time. It will be the Holy Spirit speaking. Now, before anybody gets too caught up, I don't think this means go into all of these things without any preparation. The Holy Spirit isn't going to come down and make my mouth move and say things. But over the past week, as I've considered this talk, I have felt many, many different emotions about what to say. And it seems to me the sorting out of those emotions can only be done with the guidance of the Holy Spirit. The apostles talked about the Spirit coming down to all the people that they spoke to. And many times they talked about speaking in tongues. I don't think that's as important for us today because most of us speak to people who speak the same language, and we don't need to do a lot of other languages. But I think the idea that the Holy Spirit comes down upon each one of us individually but differently is as alive today as it was in the time that Jesus told the disciples and the apostles saw it happen to all the people they were preaching to. So as I go about things that I do, stray thoughts come into my mind, things that I can bring up in a talk like this, things that seem important to me. And yes, things that contradict other things that come in the same way. So as I go through my preparations for this, all of these things come together. And it is, in my opinion, the Holy Spirit that makes this possible for me, because I'm not a natural preacher. I hope you'll think about this, because I'm not unique, not in any way, shape, or form. Everyone has the same Holy Spirit dwelling in them, urging them, and yes, giving them the words to say. Now, at this point, I always like to quote a lady who used to be in my Sunday school class who said, "Preach the gospel every day and use words if they are necessary." So many people preach the gospel by their actions. That's important, very important. But I think it's also important that people feel strong in your faith, strong enough to speak out and tell people what they believe and why. And in doing this, you show your faith in Jesus Christ and your trust in the Holy Spirit that lives and dwells in you and leads you on this pathway. Read this chapter from Mark's Gospel, chapter 13. It will give you the faith, the strong faith, to be able to speak in Jesus' behalf. Thank you.